The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Oh no! We suck again! Oh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Victory Monday, or this week we're going to call it, "Oh no, we suck again" Monday. This is from No Credentials Required. We are brought to you by Belly Up Sports in association with Gozilla Media, and this week we're going to talk about the bad loss by the New York Jets. But before I do that, I want to bring in my co-host for Victory Monday. I'm going to bring in a man who is still kind of down from losing our quarterback, but I'm bringing him in anyway. He's at stage 5, but he's at stage 5, but I'm going to bring him in anyway. Dan Goldstein. Dan, what's going on, brother?
It literally took till yesterday to finally let it sink in. Like, this is going to have to be the season. Like, it took. That's how long it took, man. I cried real tears last Monday night. I cried like a family member died. It was a lot. That was to be so emotionally invested over the entire spring, summer, to have your whole just hopes and dreams ripped away in literally 4 plays. It was, I couldn't take it. I broke down and it took all week just to get to stage 5 acceptance. Just watching this game with Zach Wilson and quarterback, realizing like we have to do this again. Like we just have to. We have no other option.
Well, I'll repeat my feelings about the whole ordeal. But before we go on, just want to remind you about our social media channels on Twitter, or as some people call it, X, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/NoCredsREQ, as this will be a YouTube exclusive and recording available for the next day. Just want to remind you to smash that like button and smash it responsibly. Money, y'all. If you're listening to the podcast side on audio, subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeart, TuneIn, whatever platform you use. And don't forget to rate and review if you can. 5 stars is the preferred amount of stars to review or to rate. And I did a solo run of Victory Monday last Friday night.
I couldn't do it.
That's okay. That's okay. I pushed forward. I pushed forward a solo, so I had to do it. I had to go through the emotional roller coaster again of that entire game, and I actually watched it watching the full half hour of the last 5 minutes of that game plus overtime, and going back to my recesses and thinking to myself, wow, that really was an emotional roller coaster. And I'd rather not go through that again. And I will say this, though. I guess you wouldn't really consider me a real fan because I didn't start watching from the onset. I was at the gym because my health and fitness matters more than anything. And I had just gotten notifications blown up on my phone. Does Ryan need a hug? Where's Aaron Rodgers? Like, what's going on? And then come to find out that he was carted off the field, and it's going, oh no, here we go.
You know, it's just like we just can't have anything too nice. You know, like we just can't have anything too nice. There's always got to be something that has to go wrong for Jets fans to derail any hope and faith that we have left that this year is going to be our year. And it's just really unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate. And this one hurt. This one hurt a lot. This one really hurt.
Yeah. And you know, thankfully the second half was especially the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter I thought was magic, with the exception of Tyler Bass doinking in like the hockey goal.
Yeah.
That field goal to end of regulation, and then see Xavier Gibson take that punt return back for a touchdown. And I just want to let you know, Dan, if you heard about a slight tremor in the upstate New York, Saratoga region, that was me jumping up and down in my house.
All right. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, Xavier Gibson taking that punt return back. But that was last week.
Yeah.
And this is this week. Oh, my God. And I just want to warn the kids at home. This is going to be very salty. The language in this episode is going to be very salty.
This one's most definitely going to have to be marked not safe for work.
Yeah, it's going to have the explicit tag for sure. Mostly from Dan, not so much from me. But he gave me the warning ahead. He gave me the warning ahead of time. So the Jets lose to Dallas. They travel to Dallas. They went up taking the L 30-10, and for the first half, it was very competitive. The second half, though, what a train wreck. Dan, I know you got a lot to say.
The first half had its moments. You know, it had its moments where they never let it went off the rails. You clearly saw Dallas was the better team here. I mean, like, it was pretty obvious right from the jump set from that first drive when they pretty much just drove it right down the Jets' throat that Dallas was the better team. Like, it was kind of obvious right from onset. They did keep it close. Zach Wilson played about as well as you hoped in that first half for the most part. You know, that throw to Garrett was a dart. I think it was a laser perfect throw right up the middle. A throw Zach has a lot of struggles with is right up the middle. So it was promising to see him being able to thread it in there between the linebackers, the safeties, the corner, and everything like that to hit that. But man, I mean, like, what do you want to say regarding like what just happened here? What did we watch? I mean, that offensive line was one of the worst performances I think we've ever seen. Connor McGovern looked horrible. Dwayne Brown looked horrible.
Dwayne Brown was on skates all day long.
Look, you can't blame him. Micah Parsons literally going to do that to anyone. I don't even think prime Jonathan Ogden would be able to keep up with what Micah Parsons is looking like. I mean, this dude is a monster, and it pains me that the Jets passed on him. You know, like we didn't take him when we had the opportunity, and I bet you if we can go back to that redraft, we'd be taking him over Zach Wilson all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day.
They would trade down to take Micah Parsons.
They probably would. They probably would have traded down the 2 pick to take Micah Parsons. And I don't know how good this team would be, but you know, I don't know who we would have ran out at quarterback in 2021. But I mean, to have
Sam Darnold.
To have Micah Parsons on this defense would be, oh my God. Oh my God. It'd be insanity. But I mean, just the second half comes about, and they didn't do anything to change their offensive line setup. They kept putting, you know, Dwayne Brown one-on-one with Micah Parsons, and it's for the most part they did try and chip it, but they just didn't do anything to make any kind of a changes. And Dallas's game plan from the beginning was clearly better than the Jets. Their preparation was clearly better than the Jets. The coaching that day was clearly better than the Jets. I mean, Ulbrich and Saleh got spanked by McCarthy and Dan Quinn. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They got spanked like just naughty little boys that just won't clean their room. I mean, it was horrible to watch.
Yeah, let's talk about that offense. I mean, the defense, to their credit, allowed only field goals in the second half. Only field goals. But this offense, look, I kind of heard what Nathaniel Hackett had to say. He gave all the praise in the world to Zach Wilson. But I feel as if this is another therapy session. Dan, we're gonna have another therapy session.
We need it.
Yeah, they're setting up another quarterback to fail. They did it with Mark Sanchez. They did it with Geno Smith. They did it with Sam Darnold, and now the cycle continues with Zach Wilson. They had no running game. Zach Wilson was their running game. Zach Wilson was the leading rusher on this team. 4 carries for Breece Hall. 4 for Breece Hall, and 4 for Dalvin Cook. How does this? How? Why deviate from the game plan you had last week when you were running the ball down the Buffalo Bills' throat, especially running to the right side where you have AVT and Mekhi Becton leading that path? I mean, we saw that one play that Mekhi Becton made. He blocked 2 guys at once for Buffalo last week. This week, running game absolutely failed. I mean, I wouldn't say the running game failed, but it was Nathaniel Hackett's game plan that failed this offense. Had the opportunity to run it down the throat of the Cowboys, like they did last week, and once Dallas took away the run because I saw a lot of plays going up the middle, there was no hope. They had to put it all on Zach Wilson, and
that's the problem. That's what's going to keep happening now, day after day, because again, we already know what Zach Wilson is. He's a mediocre, gunslinging, hopeful game manager at this point, and he probably can't really go much further than what he is now. I mean, he's just not there. So you saw what happens when you're an obvious game plan. You know, you wanted to take it away from Zach Wilson, and Dallas absolutely knew that. So yeah, stack the box. Let's let Zach Wilson be a player that he hasn't shown he can be since he's been in the league. And, you know, if Zach Wilson beats them, then they can say, damn, he really turned a corner. But that's a risk every team's going to be willing to take at this point, showing what Zach has put on film. So what choice do you have? You're going to hand the ball off, and all they're going to do is just crash. So, I mean, as good as Breece Hall is, like, what are you literally going to do? Like, Breece Hall is going to have to make so many yak yards happen in order to even make anything positive out of what we saw yesterday. And I imagine probably what we're going to see over the next few weeks as we play very good defenses in New England, in Philadelphia, you know, et cetera, that are going to do the exact same thing. They're going to rely on their D-line to just shut down the run, and they're going to make Zach win the game. That's what's going to happen. So they became so one-dimensional with the loss of Aaron Rodgers that it's almost like it's just obvious at this point. I mean, literally, like, I could scheme a game plan to beat the New York Jets because Zach Wilson is what he is. So Hackett's going to have to get very, very creative in his ability to manufacture touches and yards for his yak monsters that we have in Breece Hall, in Dalvin Cook, in Mecole Hardman, and Garrett Wilson to kind of help him out. And we didn't see any of that.
They're not using their speed.
Screens? Where was play action? Where was shorts? Where was slants?
Where was the rollouts for Zach Wilson?
Any of it. It was literally let's do the thing Zach Wilson has proven he can't do, and that's like 5-step drops and scan the field. Like, what is going on here? Like, why are we watching this shit over and over and over? We did this last year with LaFleur. You're supposed to be better than LaFleur. You're supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be a quarterback friendly. Hell, you went to the fucking AFC Championship with Blake Bortles, bro, and you had a top 5 offense that year. Like, and Bortles is good, but he's not that much better than Zach Wilson ultimately.
Well, you also had Leonard Fournette in your backfield running angry.
We got Breece Hall.
You got Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook.
You got Breece Hall, who's probably the second or third best running back in the league right now. You could argue it's 1, 2, and 3 between CMC, Bijan, and Breece Hall. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, between those 3, put them in any order you desire, and you're probably right for who's the best running back in the NFL, honestly. There's no wrong answer between those 3. Yeah, but it's like you have to do something different. You can't you can't toss 4 yards back on a defense that knows you're running and will crash down on you. That's that play should have been absolutely taken out of the playbook as soon as Zach Wilson became our quarterback. There should be no tosses 4 yards behind us when you're stacking 7-8 man boxes. It should not happen. It should not be in the playbook. It's bad football. It's bad. There's nothing good that can come from it. Nothing.
No. And the offensive line didn't help at all. Obviously.
Oh my God.
I said that last week. They have to improve that chip block. Why are they chip blocking? Why are they trying to not chip block, the cut blocking? Why are you doing the cut blocks? That's so 1990s. You're trying to cut block on the edges that are faster and more athletic I mean, offenses and defenses are equally athletic. You just need to scheme better, but you're using cut blocks to try to cut the edge down like it's the 1990s and you're running the West Coast offense. This is a different league. This is a different league. The athletes are bigger. The athletes are faster. You can't cut block. And, I mean, God forbid you try to chip. Jimmy Ruckert was there for 5 plays. Five plays.
Number one blocker in the NFL week 1. Just showing absolute dominance on film.
He's
And you have
killing
5
it.
plays. You have 5 plays against arguably the D line that matches up to your down the best in the league with Philadelphia in Dallas. So let's not use our dominant blocking young tight end that also has good hands. It can be a kind of a mismatch weapon in the game. You can scheme some things there for him too. But it was there's really no answers for I mean, we'll never know truly what Hackett and Saleh were thinking when they were trying to put together this game plan and how they thought it was going to be a good idea. But to have to use that to have Uzama out there, oh my God. I mean, I was listening to Michael Nania and he said it best, bro. You could plant a tree in the middle of the field and it would do more than Uzama does. I mean, Uzama needs to get off this team, like off this team. That is by far him and Lake and Tomlinson are vying for worst contracts we've given out since Joe Douglas has been GM, not including 2019 where he had to pull some desperate shit out of his ass.
Well, thankfully, Uzama's contract is. I think they have an option for this
Correct.
year. I think it's a 4-year deal. But
first 2 years were guaranteed. First 2 years were guaranteed, and the third year is a team option. So there is zero doubt that Uzama is gone after this season, and there looks to be zero doubt Laken Tomlinson is gone too after this season. Yeah. But
that left side of the offensive line, it concerned me before the season began, and it still concerns me now.
Yeah.
And I think I have a way to fix it. I
haven't figured it out yet.
All right, here's what you do. You bench Dwayne Brown. You move AVT to left guard. You put Tippmann at center. I don't know if is he still injured?
I don't think so.
Okay, Tippmann at center. You move Connor McGovern to right guard. And you try to find somebody else to play left guard because Laken Tomlinson has been a huge disappointment.
Abhorrent.
Huge disappointment.
I'm about to use Jeopardy words to show you how bad Laken Tomlinson is. That's how bad he is. Horrible. I mean, it's atrocious watching Laken Tomlinson play. Like, I don't know where. Like,
he was all pro, and he was what, Pro Bowl in San Francisco?
He was terrible in Detroit. I mean, he was terrible in Detroit. Goes to San Francisco, revives his career, becomes a Pro Bowler, signs to us off his Pro Bowl year into an offense that he was aware of because, don't forget, he was coming off San Francisco along with Mike LaFleur and Robert Saleh. So he's very familiar with what they're trying to do, and he forgets how to play the position. I mean, he has forgotten how to play the position. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I haven't been able to watch, obviously, every snap of all 32 teams. I don't get paid for it. If I did, I probably would, but I don't know. I don't see how he's not a bottom 5 guard in football right now. I can't imagine there being 5 guards playing worse than what Laken Tomlinson has shown us over these last 2 weeks.
You take out Tomlinson, you put in Wes Schweitzer.
Who knows what you're getting with Wes Schweitzer? Anybody's got to be an improvement at this point, honestly. But I mean, it just goes to show you that even after 4 years of Joe Douglas, 4 years now, going into year 5.
Yeah, we're on year 4. Yep.
Year 4. The fact that there's still this much work to do on the O-line is kind of an indictment on him. It's actually quite a big indictment on him. There shouldn't be this much work to be done. I'm not saying every team's going to be able to have a Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia offensive line. I mean, that's kind of an anomaly to have literally 5 superstars in your line. But I mean, to be this bad, I mean, to miss that bad on a player signing of Laken Tomlinson, to not have anybody manning the left tackle that's worthless, to now you have Mekhi Becton not on a 5th-year option. So this is his last year, and you have to figure out something to do with him after the season, depending on how he does. So we have holes at left tackle, theoretically, right tackle, theoretically, left guard. And then center, we're probably going to move on from McGovern and throw Tippmann in after the season. I mean, what do you do? That's 3 positions here that we have. And if AVT does get moved to one of the tackle spots, then you got to fill AVT's spot. I mean,
Yeah, that's why you put in Tippmann at center and move McGovern to guard
but that's for this season. Then what do you do after
for
the
this
next?
season. But going forward, you got
So we're gonna have a whole new offensive line again, and potentially AVT changing positions again. Like it's just not. It's been very disappointing so far that Joe Douglas has not been able to figure this out. Now he did try and sign Orlando Brown. We saw the reports that came out before the season started. Orlando Brown said the Jets went after him and went after him hard and offered him even more money than what he wanted for Cincinnati, but Cincinnati felt right. So I mean, you can't fault Joe Douglas. Like he put the money on the table, it just to him wasn't the correct fit. So I mean, who do you blame for that? You can't put the blame on Douglas. He did what he was supposed to do, but at the end of the day, you missed. It's a strike. So you do have to get penalized for it, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing the penalty of Dwayne Brown.
Here's my other question. And Dwayne Brown, again, he missed the entire preseason. He was on the PUP list. He got activated a week before the season began. 2 weeks before the season began. I don't think he played a snap in that Giants game.
He did not.
But here's my other question. Joe Douglas talked about speed. Talked about utilizing the team speed. Where's Izzy Abanaconda? Where's Mecole Hardman? Why aren't you utilizing those 2 players in your lineup? They got speed.
The problem I see is that it's just with Dalvin Cook signed, the running back room is crowded. They clearly trust the 3 guys over the rookie in the most important role, and that's third down pass protection. And that's how rookies get on the field. You show good pass pro, you get on the field. Most rookies don't know how to do it to an NFL level to get on the field. And while Izzy has the speed, they're just not going to trust him in that role. But I mean, Dalvin Cook's been atrocious through 2 weeks. He's been pretty horrible to this point. But Michael Carter is just, he knows how to do pass pro better than Izzy. And then Hardman's just been kind of like unfortunate game plans, like Aaron Rodgers went down and they had to switch everything up.
Here's my question. Why can't you use Izzy and Abanaconda on a screen? Like he'll show pass pro, let the defense come, and then Zach Wilson just dumps out. They didn't utilize that part of the offense either.
Like Hackett, where has this all been? Like it goes back to what we talked about. Where is the screen game? Where's the run? Where's like the RPOs? Where's the rollouts? Where's play action? Where's something to kind of help Zach get
play to Zach's strengths?
Whoa, like he's dropping back 3 to 5. And while Zach has shown very much improved pocket movement skills, presence, etc. Like I was very impressed with his footwork for the most part, and that he has very much shown improvement in his time working with Aaron Rodgers in this offseason in that regard.
Yeah.
But it's still not his strength. Like we shouldn't be basing our game plan around this. Like he needs the rollout. You need to open up the field for him. You need to get him more. You need more space to spread him out some so that he has time to process and look around and figure out where he wants to go with the ball. Like you can't keep him in the pocket like that. He's not the kind of quarterback at the point where he can just thrive in the pocket a la Tom Brady or, Justin Herbert or these kinds of guys that are just like sitting pretty and hitting open dudes. Like it's just not his game. Like you have to manufacture things more. You have to have more screens. We have to have more crosses, more slants, quick hitters. Like you gotta quick hitches or rollouts, something to get some space going because we're not gonna win another game with a single game plan like that again. We're really not. And so it's just it's just really upsetting to already be in this position week 2.
Yeah. And I do want to address something also. One thing on the defense. We got ourselves a JFM special yesterday, but it was an unfortunate thing. But I was listening to the telecast. I wasn't watching it. I was listening to it, and Marty Lyons pointed out that he was thrown into Dak Prescott. He got thrown into by the guard and was still called for roughing the passer.
He bull rushed that guard. That guard fell over. He fell over him, and the guard just essentially grabbed his jersey and just like pulled him over him. And he ran right into like Prescott's like lower thigh area right at the time where he threw that pass. It was a joke. The officiating yesterday was an absolute fucking joke.
Yeah, and that Michael Clemens getting the rough from the passer on Dak's second touchdown.
The
Why?
pass interference on Brandon Eccles. I mean, the officiating could be a podcast within itself. That's how horrible it was. And I'm not one to go back.
I've been appealing for years. These are not full-time refs. These referees. This is the only league of the top 4 leagues that do not have full-time referees. Also, why hasn't roughing the passer been made a reviewable penalty?
It really
with pass interference.
They really should be, because they're such game changers. They are such game changers, and they do need to be reviewable so that it can be overturned. Because I mean that destroyed. I wouldn't necessarily say it destroyed the momentum, because I mean they were in the red zone when that happened. So I mean chances are they're probably kicking a field goal anyways. But I mean the demoralizing aspect of
it kept the momentum in Dallas's favor. That's what
right. The demoralizing aspect you have to deal with of playing your heart out and putting the pressure on the quarterback just to get absolutely screwed, like that, and multiple times over. I mean, man, Cleet Blakeman and his crew, we have a place in hell waiting for them. And I'm not going to say it because it's depraved and gross, and we're already going explicit, but I think it's too explicit where I want to go with this. I'm not going to say it, but I mean, they deserve to have some awful, awful punishment to their backside. And one more thing on the defensive side. Unfortunately, there was barely a pass rush because the only sack was by Solly Thomas. Sauce Gardner dropping that potential pick 6. That's when I knew it was over.
A huge game changer.
That's when I knew it was over. Right when Sauce Gardner couldn't even take a gimme pick 6. I mean, that was a gimme. I mean, Dak hitched.
That was a gimme.
Dak hitched and then threw a duck. I mean, that's like, if you watch that, Dak should have hit it the first time, decided not to, and then came back to it, and then it came out fluttering. That was a duck. And there is zero reason why Sauce Gardner should not be able to absolutely house that ball. That's when I knew right then and there it was done for. Call me a cynic, call me a negative Nancy, whatever the hell your terminology is for a Debbie Downer.
You are depressed, Dan.
I am depressed. Use any and all terms you want, but right then and there, that's
Glummy Goldstein.
Well, I like that. Glum Goldstein. That's true. That's true.
We have to smile through the pain, folks. We have to smile through the pain.
That was
some gallows humor.
That was the time where I knew that it was officially done for the Jets. Like, maybe they keep it close, but there was no dub coming after Sauce Gardner can't even pull a gimme interception pick 6 and make something happen before the end of the half to potentially go into the half 14-10 on a first half that was mainly Dallas. Yeah. So that was when I knew.
Players of the game, I don't really have any. There weren't many bright spots on this day. I mean, you could say Solly Thomas for that one sack. You could say Zach Wilson for his passing and his running. Although I would say Garrett Wilson for that long touchdown that brought the Jets back into the game. But there's no real bright spots. I don't want to give a player of the game award to anybody.
I mean, for what it was, Jermaine Johnson had a decent game. I mean, granted, you didn't see the hopeful dominance that everybody was talking about him being the player at training camp for the most part. And we haven't quite seen him in that level yet. We haven't seen him quite be an absolute wrecker. He had a great game against Buffalo, but I mean, he hasn't been like a game wrecker, like taker over kind of a player like what people were talking about in training camp. So, I mean, you can still give a game ball to Quinnen. Granted, you kind of wish he was still able to do more in the pass rush, but Dallas's game plan was literally perfection. It was ball was out within 2 to 2.5 seconds. They were killing the Jets on screen plays. He was hitting CeeDee Lamb however he wanted to. DJ Reed has had a very rough start to the season. This is not the DJ Reed we're accustomed to seeing. Hell, it's not the Sauce Gardner we're accustomed to seeing here. Now, granted, Sauce hasn't been quite as terrible as people think he has been, but man, what's up with his feet? Like, he looks like his ankles like are struggling to be able to keep up with the rest of his body. I mean, he's wobbling. Like that touchdown to the tight end, like granted that was Quincy Williams' zone coverage, but Sosa's right there. But like Sosa last year is like going to drive on that, at least put a hand on him and tackle him. But like you watch the replay, like he looks like he just wobbles as soon as he tries to make directions. Like his ankle strength isn't quite there. Like it's taking him an extra half a second to get his feet under him. And he complained about that actually after last week too, that he was struggling to get his feet under him. And I'm like, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix
I don't know
that.
if it's a strength and conditioning thing or if it's just I don't know.
But I saw it last week too. I was saying the same thing. It's just like he looks like a tick slower. His reaction time's not there because he can't seem to get his feet under him, which is causing his tackling to be atrocious. I mean, his tackling has been bad.
Did he try to bulk up during the off season?
I don't know. I mean, he don't look any bigger than what it was. I mean, I imagine he's probably still sitting pretty close to what he was at this 190, 195-ish range that he plays at. I don't know, but it's just like what I don't like. That's something like I don't really know what to say about it. I don't know. It's just something I noticed just like as a very detail oriented person that like his ankles just like they just feel disconnected from the rest of his body. It's taking another half a second for the rest of his body to be able to do what his feet and ankles want the rest of the body to do. And it's causing issues. And again, I don't know if he needs to just do more like footwork drills, if he needs to just, kind of practice, what's it called? The rope drills, the running box drills, the ladder. Thank you.
Ladder drill.
He needs to spend some time doing the ladder drill to kind of catch it all up to the rest of it. I'm not sure, but it's a problem I've noticed, and it's affecting his ability to tackle and his like ability to kind of drive on stuff. So, it's just something else. And DJ Reed, man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's like it almost kind of feels like DJ Reed's size all of a sudden is starting to become a problem, because you got to remember DJ Reed's only 5'9". He ain't a big dude. He's 5'9", like 190. I mean, he's not a big guy. He plays big, but you're starting to see like these bigger physical guys, like they're getting there. They're having their way with them, man. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had his way against DJ Reed yesterday. And, the teams are kind of learning how to play DJ Reed a little better. If that's the case, and then this is the version of Sauce Gardner we're dealing with, the Jets secondary isn't going to be anywhere near as good as what we were hoping for. And, that's kind of our, this between the secondary and our pass rush, our bread and butters, both being pretty much non-existent yesterday. It's going to be, it could turn into a very long season real quickly for the Jets again.
Well, hopefully they make those adjustments and we see them turn into the unit they were last year. But we're only week 2. There's 15 games to go. So we'll see what happens from here. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Actually, we want to bring up one of our sponsors, Tanzil's House of Carcucci's. Stuff the run and stuff your face at Tanzil's House of Carcucci's. But seriously, folks, we'll be right back in just a second. You're listening to or watching Victory Monday.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
That's right, folks. Football season's here. I know Dan is a big Florida Panthers fan. Hockey season's just around the corner.
Stoked.
I guess if you're into basketball, you could get basketball tickets too. Baseball playoffs are coming soon. Yeah, big deal. But folks, SeatGeek.com has your tickets. Get yourself some nice, good certified seats, good prices. And again, you use promo code BellyUpSports, you get 20% off your first purchase of $50 or more. I'm excited for the New Jersey Devils season. I'm going to try to make it to a couple games this year. I know they're playing I'm going to try to make it in January to the Chicago Blackhawks game. They're playing number 1 overall pick Connor Bedard in that game. That's going to be a fun match.
It's going to be an expensive ticket. Have you looked at what Blackhawks tickets are going for because of Bedard? I happened to look for the Florida game too, and they are, I think, the second most expensive ticket at the moment on the resale market for down here. People want to see Bedard. I mean, this kid is generational, like legit. He's every sense of the word generational.
Yeah, but hey, $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more.
That certainly helps. It'll only cost you $700 instead of $720 for 2 tickets to see him.
Well, it's not like going to see Lionel Messi. I remember seeing New York Red Bulls tickets were going for 1 ticket in the nosebleed section when he came to play the Red Bulls. They're going for $425 for one ticket.
That stadium's 12 minutes from my house, where Inter Miami plays. My best friend's a season ticket holder of Miami Heat, and he got into Inter Miami when the talk started, when it was talking about Messi may come over to Inter Miami. He's very intuitive like that. He was like, you know what? I'm buying them now while they're
get them now before they go up.
And if Messi doesn't come, he goes, whatever. He goes, what I lose? They weren't nothing at the time he bought them. So he's like, I'll go to a couple crappy soccer games, or I take a small L on this. Or if Messi comes, he goes, I'm up huge. And as per usual, same thing he did with his Heat tickets. He got them right before the hit happened. He got his Heat season tickets the year before LeBron and Bosh came through. So the year Dwayne Wade separated his shoulder and was out for the season and Heat tickets were at their bottom dollar is when he bought 2 season tickets for like in the teens a game. And then he had LeBron and Bosh and D Wade for the next 5 years. and he was selling tickets for hundreds of dollars when he was only paying like $20 a piece. He made a boatload, and he's doing it again this year too. Granted, he also goes to the games too, so he's not just a reseller. He's not an asshole that's just buying for profit. Don't go trying to jump down his throat. He goes to a lot of these games as well.
He's a true fan. He's a true
sports fan, but he makes a buck. Can't hate him for it.
Nope. Speaking of hate, Dan, this week is Patriots Hate Week. But before we talk about Patriots Hate Week, I gotta play this PSA for my buddy Wise El Jefe.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Gotta love that.
My whole mom's side of the family is from Boston, and they're all Patriots fans.
I am so sorry.
Yeah. So this week is always tough between me and my cousins here, because me and my dad are the only, we're on the New York side. But my mom's side is much bigger than my dad's side, and it's all Boston Patriots fans over there. So this week will be a lot of shit talking in the text messages and on Facebook for sure between me and my cousins.
Oh, before we get to the Patriots Hate Week, Dan, got a trivia question for you. When was the last time the Jets drew a roughing the passer penalty?
2018, I believe. No?
Nope. It was in week 12 in 2021 against the Houston Texans. Yeah. So it hasn't been that far back. But I just want to throw that trivia question before we get to Patriots Hate Week. Listen, Dan, 14 games. 14 games in a row, and I can't take any more of it. And I'm praying the Jets, I wouldn't say sneak one out, but I want them to win at MetLife Stadium. I want to see an atmosphere like it was on last Monday night. Sea of green, speckles of blue or red out here and there, but mostly Jets fans. I want the crowd to be loud when the Patriots are on the field and we're on defense. I want them to shut up when they're on offense, when the Jets are on offense, but also get loud when Jets make a great play. And I'm praying that this offensive hiccup, this offense last week against Dallas was just a hiccup. But we know Bill Belichick is a vindictive son of a bee and will do anything to beat the Jets.
this is an
that's legal. That's legal. Sorry.
I can't go into another. I can't lose to the Patriots again. I can't be down 1-2. If we got to be 2-1, I'd rather that one loss certainly be to Dallas. I'd love to be 2-0 in the conference, in the division. Still fighting the good fight as we continually move on through the season. Mac Jones is not a good quarterback. That offensive line is not a good offensive line. Their weapons is not a good amount, not a solid amount of weapons. Not a single player there should scare anybody. Zach Wilson just has to kind of figure something out against Belichick's defense. You got to figure something out. You got to show us that you've understood the assignment. You kind of understand what Belichick's about to do, and you got to be able to find the open man. Like, you just have to. Mm-hmm. Like, this whole game is literally Zach Wilson versus the Patriots D. I have no doubt in my mind that the Jets defense is going to come out firing on all cylinders. They are going to be furious at the way they were manhandled in Dallas, furious at the way that they were not able to even really get close to Dak Prescott for the most part, and the only sack they got was a coverage sack. They're going to be pissed off at the fact that they did a complete 180 from Buffalo to Dallas, and they're going to want to flip the script right back again to remind people. So I'm fairly certain that those boys are going to have a decent game plan, know how to attack the offensive line, know how to make Mac Jones uncomfortable, and just be able to keep them in check. Question is, can Zach do anything? Can he do anything? We cannot watch what we saw last year against New England with Zach Wilson. We cannot do it. In
both games.
Yeah, we can't
in particular, week 10.
Yeah, those were
managed only 2 yards. 2 yards.
Yeah,
in the second half.
Can't have it, man. You can't have it. You cannot have it. You have got to figure out ways to manufacture some touches to get Zach Wilson comfortable and get some guys churning out yards. Throw some wide receiver screens that turn into 5-6 yard gains to get positive momentum. Get some wide open holes on the right side behind ABT and Becton for Breece Hall to exploit. And let's get something going here so that Zach can feel comfortable. Can't get down in a hole early. Can't get him looking desperate and looking scared right off the jump. Like, you just can't. I can't see it.
You do not want your last 3 possessions on offense of the game being interceptions.
No. It can't happen. It can't happen. And to go back to that game real quick, I mean, you look at the box score and you're going to say Zach Wilson was terrible. And really, he wasn't. That game wasn't on Zach Wilson for what it was. You're not going to sit there and
we're not Zach and we're just a disclaimer. We are not Zach Wilson truthers. We have given him plenty of crap over the past 2 years. No. This is an indictment on the game planning of Nathaniel Hackett, not necessarily on Zach Wilson.
I'm very much a realist. I'm going to call people out when they play like shit, and I'm going to praise them when they play very well. And
thank you, Coach. Thanks, Coach Prime.
Yeah, and while Zach wasn't amazing, that was not a loss that was on Zach Wilson. You're going to see 3 interceptions and think that Zach Wilson was absolutely atrocious, but the game was already out of hand at that point, and he's trying to put something together. And to Zach Wilson's credit, if DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't hit his elbow before the half, that's a touchdown to Garrett Wilson because he absolutely roasted Diggs. And third, if Zach Wilson looks off the free safety a little bit and then hits that bomb to Wilson, who, again, towards Diggs, because that was going to be right in Wilson's breadbasket if the safety wasn't there. That would have been 3 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson, and the whole narrative on Zach Wilson would have looked a hell of a lot different, even with the L. It was literally a game of inches that changed the entire narrative on how Zach Wilson played. A DeMarcus Lawrence hand to the elbow, and Malik Hooker and just Zach just not doing enough to distract the safety to keep Wilson open when he turned towards Diggs in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
I mean, that would have been 3 touchdowns right there instead of 1, and 1 less interception that happened there as well.
Yep. There's my keys. There's my key. I mean, you said it, Dan. I mean, there's my keys to the game. Run the football effectively. Do it early. I say if the Jets win the coin toss, I want to see what they can do on offense first. I want to see what they can do. I want to see what they can do. I want to do the exact same thing Dallas did to the Jets this week. March down the field, score a touchdown, and I'll say, okay, let's see what Mac Jones can do. Let's see if he can do it against our defense that can get after the quarterback, that can shut down receivers, and their linebacker has been halfway decent too. We'll see what Quincy Williams. We'll see if Quincy Williams is back in the lineup this week. I guess he hurt his knee I
haven't seen any update as to what exactly is going on there, or anything like that. I think they're still evaluating. They're calling him questionable. So Michael Carter's not going to be a problem. He'll be in there. Probably doesn't look like we're going to have Tony Adams this week. I think it's a hamstring strain. I think he's probably out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
for that one.
But,
so
yeah, run the ball, set Zach up for success, get him out of the pocket with some out of the pocket passing. He was successful last year against the Patriots in the first game until that roughing the passer penalty that took away that pick six. That would have been donezo. But we had the JFM special that wasn't necessarily on him because the referee called the roughing the passer. And as I quote, as the referee said to Robert Saleh after that happened, I'll quote, he hit him too hard.
Yeah. Fucking unbelievable. I can't. Yeah, I was watching I came across a Facebook clip or a TikTok clip or something like that, and I can't remember who it was, but they were interviewing Charles Haley, Hall of Fame D lineman Charles Haley, and they were asking him, like, do you even watch football anymore? He goes, no. He goes, this isn't the game I know. He goes, this is the game I know. He goes, we used to take 3 steps with you in our arms and then spear you into the ground.
Yeah.
He goes, today's quarterbacks wouldn't even be able to handle playing in the 80s and 90s.
Absolutely.
He goes, they wouldn't even be able to handle it. He goes, these guys, he said it. He says, they're all soft. He goes, every single one of them is soft. He goes, it's not their fault. He goes, they grew up training in a different game. He goes, but you wouldn't be able to do it. He goes, Tom Brady wouldn't have played till he was 46. He goes, there's no way. He goes, Tom Brady would have got destroyed if he tried to play in the 80s and 90s. And he's right. And it's just like, I understand, prioritizing health and safety, but you're sacrificing the integrity of the game. These guys understand what they're signing up for, and they make hella good money for the risk. Like, you have to loosen it up a little bit and allow these guys to play. I'm not saying you definitely should penalize for going below the knee. 100%. Yeah. You should penalize for going below the knee. But this Michael Clemens bullshit that fucking happened this weekend, I don't see how you get any more of a clean hit on a quarterback. He hit him in the chest, leading with his shoulder as the ball was coming out. What more could you possibly? I mean, what do you want him to do?
It was textbook. Point? It was a textbook hit on a quarterback.
They want these guys to like fucking Dragon Ball Z their way into like a different movement after they're done hitting him. They want him to hit him and like neo flip their way out of their momentum or something like that, so that they don't land on them. You can't do this shit. This isn't the Matrix. Like, they don't have strings attached to them like they're in a fucking Broadway play. Like they
or an NSYNC video.
Yeah. You know, I love that video, by the way. NSYNC over that day. I'm so excited for the reunion in the new Trolls movie. Throwing that out there since you distracted me. But like,
you're welcome.
You can't have that. Like, you cannot have that. That is destroying the integrity of the game, and it's horrible. It's horseshit.
And I will stay on this hobby horse until the league changes until the competition committee does something to change this rule of this roughing the quarterback. I get it, hits to the head are bad. I get it, hits to the leg or knee are bad, but something has to happen where at least there's some sort of advantage for the defensive team. We've left it for so long. Thank you, Peyton Manning. Thank you, Tom Brady, for making this such a pro offense league that you can't even like you can barely get sniff at like whisper. You can whisper at a quarterback and flag.
For real. No. For real. Like, how are you going to call roughing the passer on JFM or Michael Clemens And then Matt Milano doesn't get it when he spears the shit out of Mike White.
Yep.
You can't
Week
have
12,
this both ways.
Week 12, 2021 season. The last time the Jets earned a roughing the passer penalty.
Can't have it, man. You can't do it. And it's just,
And the Matt Milano hit to Zach Wilson's head on Monday night too. Don't forget that.
He was dirty as shit again in the Bills game. He was dirty as hell. You saw him too in the scrum. He's yanking his ankle like crazy. Like there was a scrum at some point, and Matt Milano's on the outside pulling the ever-loving shit out of Zach Wilson's ankle. Man, that can do damage to a guy's ankle and knee and hip right there. I mean, you could stretch a tendon or dislocate a joint, no problem, trying to pull some chiropractic shit when a guy's not looking. Like, give me a break, man. This is ridiculous. You know,
don't forget Matt Judon rolling on Zach Wilson's leg in 2021 too, which caused him to be out for multiple weeks.
Like I'm not trying to sound like a homer or nothing like that, but like it's to anybody that's truly paying attention. Like take any one of these teams that's not the Dolphins or Patriots. You take anybody that's not a direct rival, and they'll tell you, man. And they watch some games, and they'll tell you there looks like there's some officiating bias at this point going on.
This is why we need full-time referees in the NFL. Don't hire insurance salesmen. Don't hire school gym teachers. Full-time officiating.
There should be
full-time
cheerleaders too. Cheerleaders don't make as much money as they should either.
Yeah, right.
If we're gonna make full-time anything, let's make full-time everything. You're a part of the NFL team. You're full fucking time. You're an NFL cheerleader that has to sacrifice her free time, her weekends to do difficult choreography and that kind of stuff. You get paid for it, man.
And mascot.
The officiating, mascot, all of it. Not the mascot though.
You make billions of dollars in NFL.
Yeah,
Get your ish together.
Not the Dolphins mascot though. He deserves nothing.
Or Pat the Patriot.
Yeah.
He deserves to get speared by Jamal Adams again.
Yeah, they do nothing. They get nothing.
Well, we're going to leave you folks with just to remind you about our social media channels, which are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast in your preferred pod platform. Don't forget to rate and review. 5 stars is the preferred amount of stars. Dan, anything else to add before we take off? Besides Mac Jones is trash?
Mac Jones is trash, and so are the Finns. Even though they don't exactly look like it just yet this season, I still think the Finns are trash. So
they're Tua injury away from being ordinary again.
They're 2 injury away from being a worse Jets team. Like, let's be serious. That's literally what it is. We have a better defense, and right now their biggest advantage is Tua compared to Zach. Let them lose Tua, and they're way worse than we are. Hey, kitty.
There's the mascot of No Credentials Required. Speaking of mascots.
The other cat I brought on this channel passed away.
Oh,
I miss Princess. Yeah, she had kidney failure.
Well, we had to put down Oreo back in March. She had a mass in her chest, unfortunately.
Brutal.
But Tagalong's here for a bit. He's unstoppable. But anyway, folks, Victory Monday from No Credentials Required, presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Gozilla Media, or as we call it this week, oh no, we suck again Monday. But join us next week. Hopefully it's a better result. We'll be able to play the Victory Monday song. But until then, thanks for joining us. Subscribe, all that stuff. JETS, Jets.
Fuck the Pats.
What Dan said.
Oh, we suck again.